The Kliq owns this business.
Coming down the aisle, Bimbo Jimbo, Baby Huey.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop. Give me a hell yeah. Today, I've got the style and profile like never before. It's showtime! Woo!
We are live from our studios in downtown San Francisco. I am Bimbo Jimbo. With me, as always, Baby Huey. This is In The Kliq. Baby Huey, our first episode. It's finally here. We've been wanting to do this for a long, long time. We've been talking wrestling for years on the Bones airwaves, and now we finally have our own dedicated outlet. This will be a weekly podcast talking all things wrestling, with a heavy WWE, tint to it because, that's sort of the way of the wrestling world. But we're going to cover all manner of things, but we're finally doing it, man.
I know, it's kind of exciting right now. I got goosebumps on me. See, look at that. I got goosebumps.
R.L. Stein?
Yeah, yes. I was Out of the Basement fan.
Oh, yeah, the Monster in the Basement or whatever.
Yeah, and that one. I used to like the other books where you read and then you would...
The Choose Your Own Adventure.
Yes, I was a big fan of that one.
Which it's sort of like the podcasting world. You can choose your own adventure. You can choose your own podcast, whichever one you want to listen to. So if you are hearing my voice, thank you for choosing this adventure and coming along with In The Kliq and being a part of our wrestling podcast.
Absolutely, because if you really think about it, in today's world, there's so many podcasts out there. There's so many wrestling podcasts out there. So for you to take the time to listen to us, yeah, we really appreciate it. This is really cool. I mean, yeah, as you just said, this is something we've been talking about for... I was thinking about it earlier, like at least a year.
Well, I remember first having a conversation with you about it back when we were at the Double Nickel on Hawthorne Street.
Yes.
And I've been thinking about doing a wrestling podcast since college when I launched the Best Damn Nerd Show because, I always wanted to do more in the pro wrestling world and everything like that. But I never, just didn't have the, like Captain America needed the right partner. And so found my tag team partner in Baby Huey. And I knew we were doing good work when WrestleMania was in Santa Clara. Mm-hmm. And we did Radio Row. And even before that, just everything we had lined up. I knew then that we were going to be tag team champions of a wrestling podcast someday. So here we are in The Kliq.
On that note, I feel kind of bad. We should have our manager, Jimmy Hart, here.
That's right. He dubbed us the U-Haul Brothers, which is not a canon name. For who we are, but he did point out that we were a great tag team. So much love to Jimmy Hart, which we'll get to more about him a little bit later on in the show.
I wonder how many times he's used that line in different markets.
I choose to believe that he says it just to us, Baby Huey.
Okay.
Why do you have to want to pull back the curtain like that?
I am cynical like that because when we interviewed him at that time, I was like, oh my God, we're talking to Jimmy Hart. Like we grew up watching him and he gave us a compliment of our own tag team name. But then I've been in this business long enough.
No, he only said it to us.
I've been in this business long enough. I'm like, okay, he's probably said that to every person he talks to.
Well, I want to start off this episode, since this is our inaugural episode, and I know a lot of you boneheads have probably heard our coverage, be it the Second Shift or all of our interviews we've done with people from WWE and just around the wrestling business. But I want to start off for our new listeners, maybe people that haven't heard that before, just who we are, how we got into wrestling, and I'll throw a couple questions. Your favorite wrestler, your all-time favorite match, and what's on your wrestling bucket list. So please take it away.
So, wow. Okay. I'm a couple years older than you, Jimbo. I was born in 83, so I was definitely a kid of the 80s as far as when I was old enough to watch TV and retain what I'm watching. So it was definitely by that point, late 80s, where I was able to start watching Saturday Night Wrestling and start taking in WCW episodes, WWF TV, all that stuff. I remember growing up, I was, I'll admit, growing up, I was a big Ultimate Warrior fan.
No judgment, Baby Huey.
Okay,
you can be a fan of who. There's nothing wrong with. You were a kid It was marketed to children.
Exactly.
You were supposed to be an Ultimate Warrior fan. Just because I was not as a kid doesn't, mean anything.
Okay, so here's the thing. So in my household, my older brother Tommy, he was a huge Hulk Hogan fan. So my parents bought him like a wrestling buddy, all the gear. For me, I was a big Ultimate Warrior fan. And so jumping ahead, one of my favorite matches is the two of them fighting or wrestling at WrestleMania 6. So,
God, did you have like ultimate bragging rights over was that like a war in your household? That's like being like on opposite sides of like a political debate.
Well, back then, if you think about it, that was a big deal as far as the two biggest baby faces of the company going at it. It was not your stereotypical heel versus baby face. It was like two people you love. I mean, deep down, I also love Hulk Hogan, but since my older brother was a Hulkamaniac, I didn't want to copy him.
I totally understand. Like for me, like my brother loved Wolverine, so I liked Gambit.
Okay, yeah, so absolutely. So for me, I was like, yeah, I'm an Ultimate Warrior. I love the music, as me as a big metalhead. I mean, his music, that automatically gives you rev.
You were a metalhead then?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've always been a hard rock and roll fan. I grew up on all that stuff. I mean, my parents passed it down to me. Not so much the metal, but just rock and roll. I was definitely more of a Stones kid than Beatles.
I'm picturing like the scene in Joe Dirt where Dennis Miller like calls out Joe Dirt, be like, Bob Seger? No. You were listening to more glam rock. No, sir. I'm a rocker, dude, through and through.
So we, in our household, I was an Ultimate Warrior fan. And then I'm trying to think what else at that time that really stuck out. I mean, because if you think about it in the 80s.
So did you rub it in Tommy's face when Ultimate Warrior won?
Oh, absolutely. I was like, oh, my God, my guy won. But yeah, Ultimate Warrior, when he would run to the ring, that got me amped up. I mean, everything about him was larger than life. I mean, he's this big, muscular dude who would yell and he was like everything I think a kid wanted to be as far as he was like a real life superhero. I mean, if you watch like a lot of these wrestlers back in the day, these over the top gimmicks and appearances, like, oh my God, like I can look like that maybe, or I want to be like that. So Ultimate Warrior, I was a huge fan. And I don't know why. Growing up, I was always love watching the Bushwhackers. I don't know why. It was just like that.
I see that.
That was like one of my favorite tag teams. As a kid, I mean, their whole thing, coming out, licking people's faces and just...
Huey still does that to this day.
Doing the arm thing. So I don't know why. I always was love watching the Bushwhackers. And then...
we got to see them go into the Hall of Fame, didn't we?
I think.
When we were in Santa Clara?
Yeah.
Bret Hart did the Bushwhacker dance with them. It was surreal.
And then I will say this. There was like a point in like the early 90s when I got kind of a little bit older, like I think right before middle school. So like I kind of didn't watch it for a few years. I kind of stopped. I tuned out. Just I got busy with other things. And as a kid, yeah, and I'll be honest, because I was like playing basketball and like multiple teams. And so I was so busy. Then I got back into it right before I was probably like 93, 94. So a couple years before the Attitude Era kicked off, like back in middle
Came back
school.
for the new generation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like when Hogan was gone.
Yeah. And
I finally came back to that. But okay, so first question.
Like Thunder in Paradise, was that his TV show?
Yes, on TNT.
Yeah.
Yes. But okay, so growing up, I was a huge Ultimate Warrior fan. But as far as I think my peak years as a teenager, I was definitely a Stone Cold Steve Austin fan. Obviously, look at me right now. I got my Austin 316 shirt on right now. I thought I had to represent on. It's interesting. You and I are both wearing, I think, our favorite wrestlers' shirts.
Yeah, and I think that, I had a feeling you would be, and I definitely picked my shirt to represent. Maybe I'll tell a funny story about a Shawn Michaels shirt. Spoiler alert, Shawn Michaels is my all-time favorite professional wrestler.
I think you should do that. Okay, so
you got Austin's your favorite all-time wrestler.
Yeah, looking back on it, like all-time, who I geeked out for is Stone Cold Steve Austin. So then you say, what, favorite match?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be with Stone Cold. Wow. Just like your all-time favorite match. Like you already know, we've talked about mine. I'll give it again here for people, but
man, I'm trying to think.
Like if you were to, and this is the way I sort of put it, if you were to put on one match, it's sort of like the scene in Walk the Line. If you had to play one match for God and everybody to why you like professional wrestling, the one match that you feel like tells the best story and just like encapsulates why you're a pro wrestling fan.
Man, well,
no pressure.
Like one of the first ones that stood out to me in that whole kind of Attitude Era was Austin Bret Hart when Austin passed out.
That's perfect.
Bleeding down his face, and he passes out, and he technically, he lost the match the ref, stopped it.
Who was the ref in that match?
Was it
World's Most Dangerous Man, Ken Shamrock?
That's right. Okay, yeah. And so that's one that always kind of stuck out to me early on. And then, I mean, of course, you jump ahead. The Rock versus Stone Cold, their third times, would that be WrestleMania 19?
In Seattle.
I mean, just afterwards, The Rock leaning over, after the match was over, after he pinned him, he leans over into Austin's ear, and as we all know, now it's revealed that
but we didn't know that watching it.
Yeah, watching it, but now looking back on it, though, it was revealed that The Rock thanked him for everything, because I think they all knew it was Austin's last match, and he was on his way out, and he thanked him for putting him over. So I think that's a great match as well, just as far as these two guys who pretty much carried the WWE when Shawn Michaels wasn't there.
I wasn't going to jump on you for it.
I know you're thinking it.
Well, I don't know if they. I mean, I have a lot to say about that statement, but I
mean, but that era. I mean, as far as them two, it was definitely, I think, a conclusion, wrapping up all the years of them two going at it.
Absolutely.
And so, oh man, I want to get sad thinking about it now.
I was there. It was an incredible moment just to see, and
I think it's just the sign that, because those two guys, like I said, they help carry the company and take them over the top as far as
I just don't know
WCW. But then
the interesting thing I just wanted to say about that is, they had 3 matches at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And each one was just as anticipated as the other.
Yes.
There was no sense of fatigue of it being like, oh, this match again at WrestleMania or something like
Correct.
that. That's rare.
Yes.
To have 2 guys that people will always clamor for to see go at it, and just the clash of styles and personalities. So that is something I really took away from that, is just like, what an incredible trio of matches that they had, and just the spectacle of it all. I think the one at 15 was like definitely a huge spectacle, maybe not like a 5-star classic or whatever you want to call it. Still, it was a great moment because Austin got the title back. X7, fantastic match. We can go all day about the outcome and the aftermath of that match. And then 19 was a great sort of capper to it.
And then the other thing you think about it, because it was also revealed, like The Rock and Stone Cold would have like friendly bets, like every time they would stun him, he owed him a case of beer and all that stuff. So it's just finding out more of their behind the scenes friendship, and just so that moment now
stands bigger to you.
Exactly. And God, I'm trying.
What's on your wrestling bucket list? Like somebody you want to meet, something you want to do.
I definitely want to see a Wrestle Kingdom live in Tokyo, Japan.
Okay, that's good.
That's something I would love to experience. That's something for us. In our older age, I mean, I think it's something we could save up for. And, it's early in January, so I was thinking maybe if I didn't take vacation in December, carry over into January.
Yeah, I just want to let the listeners of In The Kliq let you know right now that if there's ever a gap in shows in December, it's because Baby Huey, in fact, does not work in December.
Oh my God, we're doing this again.
So just a quick little paid for by the In The Kliq podcast that Baby Huey does not work in December. I'll try. I'll drag him kicking and screaming if I have to. But if there's a gap or any solo shows or any guest hosts, any best ofs in December, you know why. All right, so.
Okay.
My all-time favorite wrestler.
Yes.
So growing up in the 80s, my favorite, what I call classic or golden era WWF wrestlers, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay.
I loved Hulk Hogan as well, but it was sort of, I am the younger brother also. And so it was always sort of like, I liked rooting for maybe the guy that wasn't the clear-cut number one dude.
Yeah.
Like I rooted for the guy that I thought was the coolest and had all the I thought Macho Man in the 80s was the coolest. I loved his promos, I loved his look, his arsenal of maneuvers, his tactics. I mean, he had Miss Elizabeth with him and stuff like that. So growing up, I loved Macho Man Randy Savage. I rooted for him so hard. Against Hulk Hogan when the Mega Powers exploded. That was still as a bone of contention. I was like, Macho Man should have won that match. It's ridiculous. I really Hogan was the one in the wrong. He's lusting after Miss Elizabeth and everything.
Your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Lust in your eyes. And he did. So I always really liked Macho Man in terms of the golden age and everything. My all-time number one with the bullet, And look, I love Ric Flair too. I'm like a huge Ric Flair mark.
Yeah.
And when I get drunk, I often morph into Ric Flair. Like, I mean, there's been times where like my old general manager from when I was a bartender, we're outside a bar in San Francisco. We're having a woo off. I throw my jacket onto the sidewalk and I start elbow dropping into the street. And he's like, okay, you win. I was black and blue all up and down my side. Don't know. Anyway, there's lots of nights like that.
We should play that audio.
So kudos to the Nate. Yeah, there's audio of me after the Warriors won our first championship in 40 years of me morphing into Ric Flair and just like cutting a promo. So there's that. But my all-time favorite professional wrestler by far is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. To me, there's just never been anybody that connected with me as much as Shawn. He was the coolest guy in the room, no matter the room. You know, like they even like WWE put on their Instagram, you know, they're doing like the whole like throwback thing. It's like, cause he's about the chicks, the money, and having a good time. And that's what it's all about. And I was like, dude, that guy's the coolest. And it was sort of like a way, you know, when you're, for me, like I'm not the cool, I'm maybe the coolest guy in some rooms now, but Shawn was always the coolest guy in the room. You know, he was all about the ladies, and he could go in the ring. I thought he had a very cool look. Like, I still think his ring attire is some of the coolest. Like, I love OG, like Shawn Michaels long tights. His boots were sick. The glove, like just his whole presentation.
It was total rock and roll.
Absolutely. I've talked to you about this before. To me, Shawn Michaels in sort of look and presentation, the David Lee Roth of professional wrestling, you know, like
sweet mullet,
just that kind of like front man kind of deal. And Shawn Michaels is a great front man. Put on great matches. I loved when he had the IC title, and I feel like an under talked about time period is sort of early Heartbreak Kid. You know, he was with
like
Sherry
90,
and then post Sherry. Yeah, like 92, 93. That era of Shawn I really loved, and all throughout, you know, and that's sort of the genesis for why we're in the Kliq and everything like that, because, you know, Shawn, everything spawned the Kliq, and that some of our favorite guys came from that.
Yeah.
So, you know, we do the little hand gesture, and it like it gives credence to why when I started bringing back the Kliq hand gesture in photos, and then Baby Huey started doing it. Now we actually have an official reason. At least we're tag teamed up on it now, and it's not just Huey's lack of, you know, whatever.
Did I ever tell you a coworker here questioned what I was doing in those photos? Did I tell you the full?
I think you did tell me that.
Our old GM, he saw a photo of me on Instagram.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
Doing the too sweet.
It was like satanic.
Well, he's like, hey, I see all in your photos. You keep doing this too sweet thing. What is
Should
that?
have pointed him to me.
No, and then he said, is that some gang thing? I was like, no, it's a wrestling thing. And then I actually brought up the old...
It's sort of a gang thing.
Well, I mean, I said it's a wrestling thing. It's a group of friends from the 90s. They all used to do that. And I brought up that classic photo of all 5 of them that's like backstage at an event. And I showed him that photo. I said, this is where it all started from. And then it led to DX, NWO, and then guys like the Bullet Club who use it today, copying that style. So I try to explain to him briefly a wrestling history in like 5 minutes.
And I always just thought the Kliq was such a cool term. Like, I know, you know, like we have you, me, and Chasta when we do the second shift. Like, I feel like we're sort of like the Kliq, and Chasta's the Kliq chick, and it's just like we're our own little radio Kliq.
Well, not to like open the fourth wall too much, but like literally, it's I think the 3 of us, like we're the closest in this building.
We're the tightest team.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, like the 3 of us are all around the same age, and we just bond so easily, and it's always a fun time with each other. So yeah, it makes sense.
So Shawn's my guy.
Okay.
And my all-time favorite wrestling match, and I've said this to multiple people. I've told this to Charlotte Flair, JR, and stuff like that. If I had to pick one match to show anybody about why I'm a professional wrestling fan, it's Shawn Michaels versus the Nature Boy Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24. I kick myself a lot that I was not at that WrestleMania. Quick story on that. I was in Las Vegas going to No Way Out. And so I was there with my buddy. We were watching No Way Out. I stayed late at the tables. And again, this was early on in my life. I didn't have, you know, the super disposable income that I do now. And I didn't know what his situation was. So I'm at the tables playing blackjack all night long. And I get on a little bit of a heater and I start making some money.
Okay.
And in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this until I have enough to pay for 2 kick-ass seats to WrestleMania 24, flight and hotel. I'm gonna cover this whole thing, and I'm making good money. And then it all turned on me. And that's why I didn't. The last hand I played, I went all in. Dealer got blackjack, and I said, thanks, everybody. Good night, everybody.
Oh, my God.
That's it for me. So that's why I didn't end up at WrestleMania 24.
Because of your bad blackjack skills.
Bad betting, yeah, bad beats. So that's my all-time favorite match. I think the story that they tell in that one, you have two of the greatest of all time, the person that Shawn idolized growing up, Ric Flair pushing the sun back up into the sky for one last match, one last moment of glory. He wants to fight the best. Just the whole build-up to that was wonderful. It was such a great... just a great story. I love like Rick in the weeks leading up to it, bringing back the old NWA world title. And Shawn being so reticent about doing it. And of course, it all led to one of the most classic moments in wrestling history with Shawn saying, I'm sorry, I love you, super kick, 1, 2, 3, end of Ric Flair's WWE career, and just capped one of the great stories and one of the great careers. So that's my one match.
Okay.
And for my wrestling bucket list, I really, really, really would love to take a bump through a table. Like ECW style, on fire or barb. Like I would love to do that. Like and my, people think I'm crazy, but I really want to take like a, I'm not saying I'm a tough guy and can do it. Like I'm scared to death of doing it, but I want to do it.
Wow.
I really want to take a big bump like that.
Who would you want to deliver it? You want the Dudleys?
Yeah, I would love to take a 3D through a table.
Wow.
That would be cool to me.
You'd be like, like Mae Young.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, man.
You squeeze Bubba afterwards, you're okay.
I'm okay. Yeah, I might not be able to, but again, I'm not saying I'm a tough guy. And I would love to eat a super kick from Shawn. Like that'd be great. I'd love to take an RKO. I want to take some bumps.
Oh man, now I feel bad on my bucket list. Like I'm thinking more of a trip, and you're talking about wrestling moves.
It's canon in the show now. So that's a little bit about who we are.
Yeah,
and everything like that. So thanks for coming along for this ride. We have a lot to get to, though, however, because we are on the precipice of SummerSlam weekend 2018.
I can't believe
NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4.
Okay.
SummerSlam to follow that. So we do have a little bit of news to get to, which we call clickbait here on In The Kliq. And so we got to start out with, unfortunately, some sad news with the passing of Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Yeah.
It is an unfortunate reality for wrestlers and wrestling fans that a lot of the people that you grew up watching and seeing perform and entertain you, they die way, way too young. And this was another case with Jim the Anvil. And I think we all got a different perspective on him from watching Total Divas over the last few years. And it was honestly sort of a treat to see him get that kind of spotlight and love. And, through Natty's perspective and everything from that family side. Because Jim the Anvil is kind of, I felt like he was kind of overlooked a little bit by history in terms of his contributions to the Hart Foundation and everything like that in recent years. And I feel like Total Divas did a good job of putting the spotlight back on him. But it was very sad news. And just seeing, again, from watching that show and seeing how Natty is on social media, how much love and admiration for her father she had, and just how devastating this loss was for her. But I mean, just what was your reaction, and just your thoughts about it?
It was, of course, very sad as far as, then the news came out Monday morning, and actually I was here at work, and it was literally like, I think in the 7 a.m. hour, and I immediately saw like a WWE posting about it, and I was like, oh my God. And the first person I told was Chasta, who we work with here at the radio station. And the reason I told Chasta, because Chasta knows of him through Total Divas, which just shows the power of what that show does as far as fan base and getting eyeballs on the wrestling industry. But of course, I was sad because, going back to earlier, I grew up watching wrestling in the late 80s, early 90s. It's when I'm talking about like the Bushwhackers, but there was a lot of other great tag teams at that time. Hart Foundation being one of them, Demolition, the Road Warriors. So Jim the Anvil Neidhart really stuck out to me as far as his personality, how animated he was, what him and Brett did together, because we can argue how much Brett has done for the industry overall and just how successful he was as a solo wrestler. But it's Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and I think their time together that really helped spearhead Brett into success and stuff. So I think Brett probably owes a lot to Jim for as far as just getting him out there, and their success together is what made Brett, I think
that's a good point, because Jim was the more typically sized guy for the time period. Yeah. He's a big bodybuilder looking guy and stuff like that. So I think it was an easier sell to the company and to promote them at the time when you have a really big guy, sort of on this team, along with sort of quote smaller guy with Brett and everything like that. And obviously Brett comes with such a great wrestling pedigree. There's a very sad photo that was circulating around the internet. It was the photo of the Hart Foundation. Everybody that's passed away is in black and white, and then it's only Brett.
And to me, I think that really hit home to me. That's when I really realized, like, wow, he's gone too now. It just because going back to Jim Anvil, what he meant as far as great wrestling tag team, and then he was gone for a while, and then he came back as far as the whole Hart Foundation, Brett's staple, especially taking on DX and stuff. So it was very sad to realize, wow, Brett is all alone right now.
Yeah, it really sort of rang. I don't want to say cursed, but it's almost like a Kennedy-esque. Yes. Sort of situation, like just
the Hart family,
and everything like that. Just everything they've had to go through is just so incredibly sad.
I always thought it was just kind of interesting, just total coincidence. His last name's Neidhart, and then he married into the Hart family. I always thought it was nice play on words.
Life is funny like that, but
and you also look at like what he did as a wrestler himself, but even maybe his greatest accomplishment is producing Natty.
And she does carry on the Hart and Neidhart legacy so well. And we just wanted to say, that obviously our heartfelt condolences and well wishes go out to the family in this time. And it affects them all. I mean, you see, like British Bulldogs kids posting. I mean, wrestling is such a familial business that when you connect with somebody like that, they become like a part of your family. So like this obviously sends ripples throughout everything.
The family tree, that legacy, that whole family is amazing. But going back with Jim Anvil Neidhart, I mean, I love watching him back in the day. Like him and Brett were kind of like yin and yang of each other. Brett was more the serious, straight shooter talker, while Jim, his
flamboyant, crazy laugh.
Yeah, he had the flat top buzz cut, but known for his goatee. And he would jump in and just yell and get amped up. And it's like, let's get out there. And so he would definitely just help sell the match. Like, let's get amped up. Let's go out there. We can kick some ass. And so they were just a great combination working together. They were just so dynamic, so opposite, but yet coming together. And plus they made, wrestling in pink outfits tough.
Pink and black attack.
Yes. I mean, it just their move sets were always fun to watch. And they were a really fun tag team to watch back in the day.
As Gorilla Monsoon would say, tag team specialists. So rest in peace, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. On a happier note, the next bit of clickbait we got to get to, Daniel Bryan was interviewed, and he was on the Sam Roberts Wrestling podcast, and Bryan was asked about as far as staying with the company beyond his current contract, and there's been a lot of speculation about whether or not Daniel Bryan would leave after his WWE contract and stuff like that. Even I think more so before he came back to wrestle, which was a great comeback. But even still then, rumors persisted, well, maybe he's still going to leave anyway.
Yeah.
But Daniel had this to say. He said, I think at this point, it's 90+%. I would say it's likely I will sign with WWE. I have not re-signed yet, but it could happen as soon as the end of this week, and it might be a couple more weeks or whatever it is. So it sounds like Daniel Bryan's at WWE to stay. Great call for him. And, where is he going to go? I mean, he could go have great matches in New Japan. He could go to Lucha Underground. He could go to Impact, but
Ring of Honor.
He could go back to Ring of Honor, all these things. But I think the fact that the WWE listened and let him come back, they had his best interests at heart. Sure, they had corporate interests at heart too, but they really did have his health on their mind. Yeah. It's, when they sort of forced him into retirement.
Yeah.
But they also listened, and, the whole fight for your dreams thing, he's back now. So.
Well, the other thing, okay, like real talk, where else is he going to go? I mean, I think he's going to sign hands down. It's obvious. Because you got to look at it this way. As you said, he can go off and have these crazy matches, maybe one last hoorah going around the world, indie shows or these other promotions around the country. But real talk, he's a married man now. He has a kid now. And he's older. So he's got to look out for his future and his family's long-term future. And so WWE has the big bucks. Like, I don't want to make this all about a money thing, but as far as what him and his family and their brand can do long term, it's in their best interest to stay with WWE. That's the biggest company in the world. And so for him, if this is his last run, I mean, I'm sure, was he late 30s now? So however long this run goes for, let him do his thing, wrestle for the next X amount of years, and get while under WWE's umbrella, get maybe other projects going to set up his family long term. I'm just looking more from like an actual family business side of things. It just makes sense to stay.
Bree's whole brand is WWE.
Yeah.
Brie doesn't have any cachet outside of WWE.
Yeah.
No offense to Brie or anything. I'm sure she could do very well, but it's like Total Divas, Total Bellas, like all this stuff. Like the infrastructure for their success is in World Wrestling Entertainment.
I just thought of it. You think if he would, hypothetically, if he would leave and go to like Ring of Honor or New Japan, do Total Divas and Total Bellas still exist or go on with the Bellas on there? And Daniel's still on the show?
I don't know if he'd still be on the show or not, but I think that they're too much of an entity to sort of just take away because of that. And I also don't think WWE would really have that big of an axe to grind with Daniel either.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm thinking he has to sign because I think he would lose too many other projects that he's involved with right now. So it just makes sense to stay with WWE, ride this out. It's the biggest stage for him to, quote, maybe end his career whenever that does happen.
Now, if they hadn't let him come back, if they had turned him down, then I could have seen him leaving. Because he loves to wrestle, and you have to respect that. And he got cleared by so many doctors, and if the WWE still said no, then I would totally understand his desire to leave and want to go scratch that itch. Because it's hard. Because I know it's not a quote unquote real sport, but it's hard to tell any athlete when it's time to hang it up when it's not on their own terms.
Absolutely.
You've seen it time and time again in sports, like Brett Favre wanted to go out on his own terms. Charles Barkley wanted to go. So it's hard for an injury or something like that to tell somebody when to hang it up, and it sticks with you. And so there's a lot of, the quote like from Rocky Balboa, there's stuff in the basement. And Daniel had stuff in the basement that he needed to clear out. And fortunately, he's able to do it on the biggest stage. And he's got a real big one coming up this Sunday, which we're going to get into in a few minutes. But Daniel Bryan's not going anywhere.
Oh, totally. No, you're right. He's staying here, and he's going to ride this baby out for as long as he can.
Another positive note is something that we've pushed for a while. We talked to this person about it at WrestleMania when we talked to Renee Young, who I call the Doris Burke of sports entertainment or the Doris Burke of WWE, in the fact that she started as sort of the, quote, sideline reporter, but I think she has a future at the commentary desk, doing play-by-play and everything like that. She got her shot this past week on Monday Night Raw, which was a huge moment for WWE, for Renee Young, for, just pushing forward in terms of like female empowerment and everything like that. And just overall, just very well-deserved because she is so talented. I'm such a big Renee Young fan. How'd you think she did? I thought I really enjoyed her performance. We talked about this, JR. I'm not the biggest fan of the 3-man weave sort of at the commentary table, but I thought she acquitted herself very well.
Yeah, I think given the scenario that she was put in, I think she delivered as best as she could. And as you said, she's an amazing talent. She is great on the microphone. She's, I think, very engaging. She's a great personality, and I think WWE is very lucky to have her. It seems she's very diverse in whatever project that she's given to them or they give her to do. And so, I love watching her. I think she's just very intelligent, especially in the wrestling industry. So in that situation, though, you have Michael Cole, who's like the main guy. You got Corey Graves, who's kind of like the heel / commentator who kind of
the Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, and then you got her. So it's a lot of voices to get out there. So I think for her to kind of be thrown into that, it's very tough, I'm sure, to get in stride. It's almost like a moving river, and you're finding your places just to jump in, or it's a moving train.
And I'm sure she didn't want to overstep and over jump in and stuff like that.
She found her moments.
Spots.
Yeah, she found her moments and jumped in when she could, and I think brought some interesting, entertaining stuff to the table. And so, to her credit, I think she did the best in that situation. It's tough, like you said, 3 people.
It's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly. So I think what she did in that situation is the best she can do, and I want to see more of it.
She does too. She said that she wants to do more of that. I mean, obviously, I was worried WWE was going to lose her to ESPN a couple years back and everything, and I'm still worried about that. So I think they would be wise to keep giving her these opportunities. In my opinion, what I love about Renee is that I feel like she is a better balance of what WWE wants to do on the mic from their commentaries right now. Is that she speaks very authoritatively about the product and sort of isn't taking it lightly. Like Roman Reigns and Elias are in the ring. She can sort of like put over the fact that there is sports action going on in the ring while also doing her corporate duties of promoting what's next and stuff like that. So I actually think she would be a better suited one. Like I would love to see her be like play-by-play, like Cole of Raw. Like I think she is I think she could be the lead dog, because then you put her with, if you're going to have 3, my dream team on Raw right now would be Renee Young, Corey Graves, and the coach. And I know the coach has gotten a lot of criticism, but I don't think it's all his fault. And I think and I'm a big Corey Graves fan. I think they have to dial everybody back a little bit. I think Corey's like Kramer or Ari from Entourage, respectively, and Seinfeld, getting like, it'd be like a little bit too much of a good thing with his cut downs of his fellow broadcast partners.
Yeah,
which Coach is still getting his feet back wet, in wrestling. I don't think that has maybe been the most helpful to Coach. I like what Coach brings to the table, and I think as he gets more comfortable, his sort of additions will be better received and everything like that. But you got to let him get a little bit more comfortable.
What about Booker T?
I'm fine with Booker as well. But I think the team that I would want on Raw right now would be Renee Young, Graves, and the coach. What
would you do with Michael Cole?
I'm sure there's plenty of WWE Network shows that he could host.
SmackDown. I wonder how long he could do this for. I mean, I know he has a big role behind the scenes doing stuff, so I wonder maybe he can start doing that and let Renee come in.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing it for a long time, so that's what I'm saying. And I mean, of course, like, super dream would be to bring Morrow back up to one of the, I love him on NXT. I don't want to lose him on NXT. Don't get me wrong, but Morrow is just tremendous.
Mamma mia!
Yeah, he is on another level. One last bit of clickbait before we move on to getting ready for SummerSlam weekend. Ronda Rousey spoke with ESPN, and I found some of her quotes interesting, so I just wanted to read these real quick.
Okay.
On her love for the WWE, she said, "I love this way more than I ever thought I would. We had a set timeline set, and now we aren't so sure about it because I love it so much. I guess that's the best thing that could have happened."
Interesting. Okay.
The thing that jumped out to me, a lot of people are just talking about, how she's loving it way more than she thought she would. What jumped out to me about that was in terms of having a set timeline.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
Like a one-year deal?
Yeah, is she planning on, like, doing this for a little bit and then parachuting back into movies or something? Like, I don't know. What do you take from that?
Well, yeah, the timeline, I'm thinking, like, from the contract standpoint. So I wonder, maybe she told them, I'll give you, like, a year. I'll train and then do a year commitment, maybe from WrestleMania to WrestleMania, and then at that point, reevaluate the situation, see if you like it, and then either she can move on or stick around and kind of maybe build off what she's been doing. And I think, who knows? I mean, who knows what they're talking about behind the scenes? But it could be a situation. She's probably telling them, "I'm loving this." She's probably getting addicted to everything about it.
Yeah,
and she's probably like, "I want to do this long term."
She gets to win again.
Yeah, I mean, like,
so that hadn't got that feeling for a little bit.
Yeah, so I think for her, she's probably like, maybe she's thinking, like, I don't want to get, like, beat up in UFC anymore, like taking, like, hardcore punches in the face and kicks.
She loves wrestling, and and like her whole connection with Rowdy Piper and everything like that. And listen, to all the critics and the haters, Ronda has done a spectacular job. She has been a home run box office smash for WWE. Her match at WrestleMania with Kurt Angle against Triple H Stephanie was match of the night, in my opinion. She is special. Like, the way she carries herself, she needs to, so she needs to stop smiling a little bit. She's getting her scowl back down and everything.
Her mic skills are developing.
Hit and miss, but they're there. Like, you can see it that she has it. She has that magnetism that people gravitate towards. So I think her signing and everything like that, dude, when she gets angry and just start, like, I loved it when she was beating up the security team and stuff like that. And she's, for being so new to this, she's very good.
Oh, totally. Well, okay.
And I know there's a lot of haters out there, but she's damn good.
Well, I'm sure she's probably thinking, okay, at this point in my life, what else is there to do in UFC? I'm in the Hall of Fame now.
Hall of Famer, yeah.
Maybe she's thinking, I can make this a long-term career, take care of myself for the long term, have fun doing it, and create her a second legacy. She already has her legacy in the UFC. This is probably an opportunity to be, like, a, quote, two-sport athlete, if that makes sense, as far as being in two different promotions.
I also wouldn't be surprised if she ends up in the octagon again.
Yeah, I going back to the gut, like maybe she still has stuff she wants to prove.
She didn't leave on the
on
best
her terms,
really. Not that she was on bad terms with Dana White or anything of the sort, but she lost a couple matches, and I think no matter what, like, dude, she's the best female competitor UFC has ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, but going back to the WWE,
she's one of the biggest box office draws UFC's ever had.
Dude, she walks into the arena, with Joan Jett playing in the background, and the crowd goes crazy. She probably feels like a rock star.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she wants to keep this going.
I'm glad for her. I'm glad she's having so much fun. I'm glad she's a part of WWE. It's to me, I think sky's the limit for her.
Yeah,
she is already so good. I do think she's going to become the first woman to main event WrestleMania, probably against Charlotte somehow, and I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think eventually they might pair up with Paul Heyman? So Paul Heyman's wants a Paul Heyman guy, but what about a girl?
Paul Heyman girl. I could see them doing that. I think she. I would hope they would wait for a while for her to do the heel turn kind of thing, and I don't think her mic skills dictate that she needs a Paul Heyman. Like, I don't think she's so bad on the mic.
She can't be a babyface with Paul Heyman?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Paul Heyman, his whole shtick is a heel shtick. So that's more what I see. I mean, it would be interesting, and I definitely think Ronda has being a heel in her. Absolutely.
Dude, she'd be a badass heel.
She absolutely has the heel thing in her for sure. I think her mic skills are going to come along even better. I think we've seen week to week that they've gotten better.
It's drastically better in the last, 4 months?
Yeah, and listen, I don't think this is the best era for somebody to even learn how to talk on the mic, because it's so... I think people are more limited today in WWE on what they can and can't say.
Oh,
and how they are coached on that. Now, again, I'm not there, but yeah, it's a lot more stilted and confined. So that's difficult to be creative within and sort of find your voice, but she's finding it. So I give her a lot of credit for that. That's going to do it for Clickbait. We have to jump into SummerSlam weekend. So we're gonna, I was going to talk about, sort of the go home shows for Raw, SmackDown, NXT, but we're running a little short on time. So let's go ahead and we're going to break down the card for both NXT. Yeah, we have, so at the radio station here, we have a little, we're degenerate gamblers, and my favorite thing to gamble on, of course, is professional wrestling. So
not blackjack.
During the Big Four, I was doing well. You can't beat the. That's why the casino always wins. I was doing well.
Gotta learn to walk away.
Criticize myself. I wanted to take me and my buddy to wrestle. It was a 4-year run, by the way. I wanted to take us to WrestleMania.
Dude, but you had enough for just take yourself. He can find his own way.
I'm not a selfish person, baby.
Dude, you should have just walked away.
I was trying to have 2 boyhood dreams going on. I should have. He actually told me, he's like, dude, you should have called me. I could have fronted the rest. And he could have, because I was a pretty good amount of money. But, all right. So what we have, so we have in front of us the card for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4 and for SummerSlam. So we're going to break down each match and sort of give a couple of thoughts, what we think could be going on, what's going to happen, who's going to win. We're starting off with NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4.
Okay.
And right off the bat, in my opinion, the hardest match to predict of the whole weekend is the Velveteen Dream taking on EC3. Right off the bat, I mean, is EC3 a face now?
I don't know. I'm so confused on these last few weeks of NXT. The way it's 2 heels going at it.
Which is fine, but the way it's been presented is EC3 kind of babyface-esque, right?
Yeah, I mean, going back, this started last month when they were in England and Velveteen Dream walked out on him. Because that was just a one-time match in England, but they're using this as the launching pad for this whole rivalry. But I'm so confused by this because it's like, I mean, the crowd is behind him, but just because I think, in today's world, it's cool to cheer for the bad guy. So
you're talking about the crowd being behind
EC3.
See, I feel like the crowd is mega behind Velveteen Dream, which of the two, if they were going to turn one face, which, by the way, I don't support cheering either one of them face. I think their characters naturally work better as a heel. I think you could more easy. Velveteen Dream's had a longer time in NXT to sort of justify a face turn. EC3 hasn't really gotten his feet under him in NXT.
Correct, but he definitely had the longer wrestling career, like his time and Impact and everything.
But the way I look at it in NXT, though, it's like he's not really established there yet.
Yes, okay, as far as this canon. Yeah, I get that. For me, I'm leaning a little bit towards Velveteen Dream because he lost the last takeover.
Lost his last couple, right?
Due for a win. EC3 wasn't on the last takeover, And so this is his first takeover he's performing at. So how many guys actually win their first takeover appearance?
Yeah, it's I could really go either way on who's going to win. I looked at it that way too. I don't think Velveteen Dream has won on a takeover. I'm not certain.
Yeah, I mean,
or it's been a minute because he lost to Ricochet.
Yes.
He lost in the ladder match. He lost to Aleister Black before that.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, it's been at least 3 takeovers since.
And then I'm trying to think, does the go home episode for NXT? I mean, they were in the ring. And EC3
got the beat down.
Yes, and usually that's the telltale sign of whoever is standing tall on the go home show is
usually the loser. Yeah, but I mean, flip a coin. I mean, the thing is, like, I think the damnedest thing about it is that Velveteen Dream can lose and still be okay.
Yeah,
it's the thing. I think his character is more equipped to handle a loss character-wise than maybe EC3 is, because at least Velveteen Dream has been on the last few takeovers. EC3 really hasn't. So that's what's got me going back and forth. Flip a coin. I'm going 51% for Velveteen Dream, like 49 for EC3. I mean, that is a tough one to call for the weekend. Next one we're going to talk about is the NXT Tag Team Title match, the Undisputed Era versus Mustache Mountain. I'd like to point out to everybody that Cody Rhodes was the first man in a while to get a mustache over in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, a little bit more background on me. If you haven't heard it, Cody Rhodes is the man who named me Bimbo Jimbo. So he's my creator, my progenitor, my wrestling father.
Maybe next episode we lead off with that whole
play some
story.
Archival footage of Cody. Love you, Cody. So we got the NXT Tag Team Championship match, Undisputed Era versus Mustache Mountain. What are your thoughts on this one? Great main event, by the way, on NXT going into this one. Odd that they ended with a match that was promoting the Tag Team Championship match.
Yeah.
Solid match, though.
Oh, between Tyler Bates and Roderick Strong?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great. I mean, okay. I think Mustache Mountain winning the titles last month was just to please the UK crowd, and to help sell the NXT UK division that they're starting up. So Undisputed Era is winning. I think at this point, dude, they're the hottest thing in NXT.
There's too many other like babyface tag teams for them to face right now.
Because I think they got
War Raiders waiting for them right on the other side.
That's what I say. War Raiders is going to be waiting for them.
You got like the Street Profits. I mean, the Mighty are heels, but I think like the Street Profits and Undisputed Era would be a really fun feud.
Yes.
And like I'm big on the Street Profits. So.
Dude, I mean, because both of them are very animated. Undisputed Era is very fun.
And the heel turn for Roderick Strong, to me, that's been like just a big-time shot of juice into that character. I mean, he went from, and no offense to the performer and the man himself, but he was kind of bland as a babyface. They didn't really give him a lot to work with. Instantaneously, super entertaining. So, like, I'm a big fan of what Roddy's got going on in the UE right now.
Because I think it's going to be more entertaining for Undisputed Era versus War Raiders down the line.
Absolutely. I think that's the next program that's going to... I wouldn't be surprised if War Raiders take the belts off of them.
Yeah.
But you know,
the next takeover,
I don't see Heavy Machinery taking the belts off of them or anything like that. Although they've grown on me. They've grown on me. I'll give them that. Give them that. And you know what? And I never liked TM61, but since they're changed the Mighty, they're growing on me a little bit too.
Tommy and I were talking last night. The one guy in Heavy Machinery, the shorter guy, like
Dozovich?
Yeah. Doesn't he look like the guy that was in was it Pee Wee Herman's Play Out? The guy who took his bike. And,
I don't even remember. That's too deep.
I gotta do a Separated by Birth.
Yeah, we'll look that up afterward. Okay, so we both got UE there.
Yes.
That's right. NXT Women's Championship. Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane. Right off the bat, I just have to say I love Kairi Sane.
Yes.
I love the pirate princess thing. I don't know. She's got a cool, defined character. The crowd loves her. I like her whole entrance, her aesthetic, how she presents herself. She's the truth in the ring. I'm a big Kairi Sane fan. That being said, I feel like Shayna is holding on to it. I mean, we could see the what is it? The fake version of the Four Horsewomen showing up. You know, because they sign with WWE, you know, girls and stuff. So, you know, maybe that's a thing. Maybe Lacey Evans reinserts herself into the Kairi Sane feud. So
what I'm thinking is, okay, they keep talking about the Mae Young Classic last year and how Kairi got that win. So I think the fact that they keep emphasizing she already has the one victory, I think this is Shayna's time to win. So
sort of exercise that demon.
Yeah. And the other thing, I think Shayna's going to be champion for a while. I think the person who's going to maybe take it off her would be Candice LeRae. as
I can see that.
top baby face that they're building her. I know she's new to NXT, but I can see that they're going to try to build her up as the top underdog baby face. So take down the big bad Shayna Baszler. So who knows? That could be next WrestleMania weekend.
I will say if they decide to put it on Kairi Sane, she has a bevy of talent that she could face. So, I mean, between Vanessa Bourne, Bianca Belair, Lacey Evans, there's a lot
Dakota.
of heel females, though, that she could take on.
Yeah, the NXT
I would love it if Dakota Kai was the one to take it off Shayna, though.
And that's the other thing.
A better end to that story.
Yeah, they never really finished that whole angle.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think Shayna Baszler, I think for right now, it's her time because they keep, and then even at this last go home NXT, Kairi Sane did 3 elbow drops and kept looking back at Shayna at the table.
Yeah.
So I think it's another telltale sign that it's Shayna going to go over here.
All right, NXT North American Championship, Adam Cole, baby, versus the one and only Prince Puma. Ricochet.
Wow, you're going to do that already?
Yeah, well, I love Prince Puma and I love Ricochet. This is another one that's actually tough for me to sort of call.
Yeah.
I lean Adam Cole because I sort of lean keeping Undisputed Era looking strong and everything like that. And, Ricochet did win his last TakeOver when he lost the ladder match to Adam Cole. Hey, this is another one that I think is tough, though. What do you got?
Well, I was also thinking, go with Adam Cole, just because Ricochet got the victory last time. I think for Ricochet, I think they're building him up as the potential next big baby face for NXT for his time on this roster before getting eventually called up. But with that being said, I think you got to kind of kick him down a few to really come back, overcome the odds to eventually win. So to win his first title match.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, if you want to count the ladder match as a first title match, but I think they need to kind of kick him down a little bit. Really,
I don't think Adam Cole should go over clean. He's got the squad, the UE there with him for a reason. And I like the idea because he's the inaugural NXT North American champion. I like the idea of the first champion having a nice long reign to sort of put over the belt and everything like that. So I'd like to see Adam Cole retain. And again, I'm a huge Ricochet guy. I wouldn't be surprised if, it's going to be tough to be match of the night with the next one we got to talk about. But that's going to be a kick-ass match, though, between the two of those guys. I'm really looking forward to Adam Cole and Ricochet. That to me is a tough one to call. But the main event, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. This is one I'll say I called that this is where the feud would be capped off, and it would in fact be for the NXT Championship. But Tommaso Ciampa, the best heel in pro wrestling, versus Johnny Gargano, maybe the best babyface in pro wrestling. Last man standing, perfect way to end this feud and finally leave it all out there. This, in my estimation, is a lock to be the best match of the weekend. This is another one, like we're talking about Stone Cold and The Rock. Just every one of their matches, the build and just the anticipation for it is always at an all-time high. This to me has been the best feud in pro wrestling in a long time. I love the old school promo packages that they've done for it. Ciampa's heel work, Gargano's just the babyface hope spots and everything like that, and him sort of losing part of himself. It's all been so good, and it's all led to this.
The storytelling, especially in the most recent one, spitting on the ring, and
I even think just the I've watched on repeatedly the promo package for NXT TakeOver New Orleans. And it's just the fact that they've had this slow burn and that they followed up with it like they have with when Ciampa churned on Gargano after they lost, which is so
it's coming back.
Such a great
no,
moment.
That was in Chicago when that happened.
Yeah, it was in Chicago, and I love that. Just in that promo package, you see that moment happen, and just Johnny's just sort of reaction, looking at the camera, just goes, "Why?" And the way they use photos from Johnny's real wedding. Just them traveling the world together. It's very Shawn Michaels versus Triple H-esque, I can hear JR's voice in my head. Shawn and Triple H, they're closer than a lot of brothers. And it's that same kind of thing. So I cannot wait for this to be capped off, and I think they're going to do the right thing and have it be Johnny Gargano finally realizing his dream of being NXT champion, exercising the demon that is the Sicilian psychopath Tommaso Ciampa, celebrate once again Candice LeRae, and I think, unfortunately, probably that means Ciampa's going up to the main roster.
And that's what I was going to ask you is, let's look at the implications from this match, because this is something we talked about off the air, is whoever wins and loses this match, what's next for each wrestler respectively. And you and I have talked off the air as far as I think whoever loses is going to get called up. Because I think, is it around post SummerSlam, they kind of have like a little bit of a light superstar shake-up or / the call-ups.
They do some call-ups, yeah.
So you and I have talked off the air as far as, okay, whoever wins the title, obviously, yeah, they're going to stay on NXT because they're the champion. But then the other guy, what is left for them to do? It only makes sense for them to be called up. I think at this point, I think Johnny Gargano, what he has to offer as the champion is the fans love him. I think it only makes sense for him to be the current face, especially now that we know that Aleister Black is out with an injury.
Yeah.
Tommaso Ciampa, I think him getting called up to whoever's show, I think he could be like a great instant mid-card heel for someone. So I think he could come up to the main roster right away and have some instant heat and be kind of curious to see what he can do up there. I don't know, but do you think either one of them is ready right now to go up?
Both of them are ready.
Okay.
I don't wish it on either one of them because I love what they're doing in NXT.
Oh, totally.
And just the presentation right now is so much better in NXT that I worry about. I especially worry about when Johnny gets called up.
Yes.
Because it would be very easy for them to sort of like stick him on 205 Live or whatever and him just get lost in the shuffle.
You look at like guys like Chad Gable and stuff who are getting kind of lost as well.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a tough pill to swallow to see him get sort of mistreated because that's happened a lot with NXT guys and stuff like that. Like I don't think Ciampa's immune to not having a great run on the main roster.
Well,
What's ironic to me is that one of the best NXT call-ups ever was Elias, and he had some of the least amount of success in NXT, but's had a great amount of success on the main roster.
Well, going back to Gargano, as far as I think if Daniel Bryan didn't come back, I think Gargano could have been that great underdog baby face that Daniel Bryan represented in the past, but the fact that he's back, it's obvious. Okay, let's put it back on him. Yeah, so I think Gargano, for him right now, it makes sense to stay on NXT.
Yeah, wherever they get called up, they should be on opposite shows. And then the redux to this feud is, probably Ciampa gets the title again and Gargano wins the Royal Rumble. I mean, like they're going to have to reprise this feud on the main roster. And it's going to be beautiful if they play it right.
That's like a down the road.
Do you have Gargano as well?
What's that? Oh, yeah, I have Gargano as well. I just feel a little bad, though, as Ciampa only being champion for, 3 weeks, if that? A month, maybe, if my math is correct. So it just kind of sucks that he's only been champion for 3 weeks. Literally, he was a transitional paper champ between Aleister.
That makes it all, that to me, and I thought about that, too, is that he's going to be one of the shortest, if not shortest, NXT champions. I think maybe Samoa Joe had a really short reign, if memory serves. But that to me is okay because it even serves the purposes of the storyline that it's like he had it for such a fleeting moment and then damn that Johnny Wrestling took it away from me. Kind of to the point where he will leave NXT. So that to me is totally I'm fine with that. And look, you never take away the fact that he was an NXT champion, no matter how long the reign was.
It's in the record books.
And usually those reigns are a little bit longer, so I think it's nice to sort of hotshot it every once in a while.
Yeah.
But so we both have Gargano. We now turn our eyes to Sunday, SummerSlam 2018. Let's start off with Rusev and Lana versus Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega, the towering inferno of hotness that she is. Who you got?
I think Aiden English is going to get involved. He keeps screwing up. I think he's going to get involved he's going to try to help Rusev again, screw up, and I think he's going to cost them. This might be the end of
breakup.
Yeah, of his part in Rusev Day. So I'm leaning towards Andrade.
I think I will offer the opposite sentiment. Is he's screwed up so many times that maybe finally at SummerSlam he gets it right and it will be a happy Rusev Day. So yeah, I don't know. That one's tough to call for me because I feel like sometimes the matches that have less importance put on them are tougher to predict. Just because I feel like booking could be like we'll just do this. So Zelina's already won 2 matches again. I think Rusev and Lana are going over. That's what I got.
I mean, that Brooklyn crowd would be going pretty crazy.
Yeah.
For
listen, and I love Andrade and I love Zelina, and I think they have big things ahead for them, hopefully, and they don't get lost in the shuffle as well.
So should I go with?
You got to make your own choice, baby. This is why I was a little hesitant about doing this before you made your picks.
Why?
Because I don't want to give you any insider information that maybe I have.
I might be circling everyone you do.
Well, maybe I'm giving you false information. I haven't been circling anything. Saving mine for a fresh mind.
Wow. So you actually do 2 versions. version.
I reserve the right to go back on all these picks. We will go over who we actually picked, next time.
I'm circling as I'm going.
I know, and I like that.
I'm being authentic to the listeners out there.
I'm being authentic too. I'm telling you my true thoughts.
You're changing things.
I'm telling you how I feel right now in this moment. Raw Tag Team Championship, the B Team versus the Revival. Man, the Revival is an NXT call-up gone awry if there's ever been one. Is this their chance to get right? Do you think they become the first ones to beat the B Team?
I think the B Team's getting a little... They had their moment to shine, but I think it's time to change things up, and I think the Revival are long overdue to being champions. I love their style. They had that old school tag team. Going back to what we talked about, the Hart Foundation and just that era of tag team wrestling, definitely a Revival. Watching them is a great throwback to all those great tag teams. And I know the Raw tag division is kind of all over the place. It's not really been consistent for a while, and there's a lot of rumors that...
There's a lot of great tag teams in WWE right now. And so, in no disrespect to the B Team, because I think they're entertaining.
Yes.
But I don't think a comedic team should be the champion of Raw.
Correct. Yeah. And
there's just too much in-ring tag team talent to where we should actually be taking those matches seriously, because given the time and effort, they're usually the best match of the night.
When I was just going to say, as far as there's a rumor that right now a lot of the head honchos don't invest as much time into the tag team division. They just kind of... So what I'm saying is I hope that the Revival could maybe reset things on the Raw brand as far as kind of building back up the whole tag team division. And so that's why I'm going to go with the Revival. I just think it's their time to win, and then hopefully start just a whole fresh new segment in the tag team division.
Cruiserweight Championship, Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak. You flip a coin. I'm going with Cedric because he's so damn good.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the champion since they resetted the whole
WrestleMania.
Yeah, the 205 Live brand. I think like a better heel down the road should be the one to take it off him. Yeah. So I was thinking Cedric as well.
U.S. Championship, Shinsuke Nakamura versus the Enigma Jeff Hardy. This screams Randy Orton getting involved.
Absolutely.
Again. I don't think they're taking it off Shinsuke here.
Correct. I think it's Shinsuke all the way. I mean, the other thing is originally, wasn't there talk of Jeff Hardy taking time off? He's banged up. And so I think when they got the belt off him and Randy beat him down, that was a way to write him off TV, but he still shows up every week. So
tough guy to get rid of.
So that's why I'm this whole situation is a little just interesting. But yeah, and Randy Orton, he's not scheduled for SummerSlam, but I think, he's going to get, after we saw this past SmackDown Live, him kind of lurking in the shadows looking, hello, and then popping back in. Yeah. So I think, it's Shinsuke.
SmackDown Women's Championship. I am really looking forward to this one. It is going to be Carmella, the champion, taking on Becky Balboa, a.k.a. Becky Lynch, and Charlotte. This, to me, this needs to be Becky Lynch's moment to win the championship. I think it will be. I wish this was still a singles match. I get it. The star power of Charlotte and the fact that she's ready to be back demands that she gets put into this match. I wish this was going to be just Becky's one-on-one match moment, but I hope she gets her time to shine in this match. I hope she wins the SmackDown Women's Championship, probably leading to a Charlotte heel turn over the jealousy of it. So I'm going with Becky Balboa here.
I was thinking Becky too, but then I thought about it. I was like, well, maybe Carmella should win, sneak out another victory, kind of keeps her storyline going of look, I beat Charlotte for a third time. I beat Becky too in the same match. And then I'm thinking it could still lead to Charlotte turning heel on Becky, and maybe they set up a little thing going back and forth. Then maybe the eventual winner then faces Carmella again. But then the other thing I'm thinking about, and this is kind of going back to talking a little bit later about Ronda, because as you said, we think maybe next WrestleMania could be Ronda versus Charlotte. How do you get that set up? They're both on opposite shows.
One's going to win the Women's Royal Rumble.
Exactly. And I think maybe Charlotte might be the one to win the Rumble.
Absolutely.
Call out Ronda.
Yeah, and so it puts Charlotte back on Raw, which no matter what anybody wants to say is perceived as the A show.
And so with that being said, if you're the champion, you can't really be in the Rumble. You just because she sat out the last one.
Yeah, we still got time to go before Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
though.
but I
got plenty of time.
Yeah, but
We got plenty of time. All right, the match that I am most looking forward to on the card for SummerSlam proper. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. This, as they keep saying, has been years in the making and everything like that. The promo packages, all the segments have been fantastic for this. I was a little worried about them rushing into it so soon after Daniel's comeback, but they haven't disappointed with the build. if I were to book this match, this is fantasy booking. I'm not saying this is who I'm picking or what I think is going to happen. But if I were to do this, you have The Miz win. Not clean as a whistle, but not necessarily super dirty either. You have The Miz win this match, and you have him gloat and gloat and gloat and refuse a rematch to Daniel Bryan. You have Daniel Bryan, you have Miz at some point down the line dethrone AJ Styles and win the WWE Championship, and then you have Daniel Bryan win the Men's Royal Rumble and challenge The Miz at WrestleMania, and Daniel gets his big win at the biggest show. So I think that's how I would play this. I mean, that's a super long con if WWE has the patience in them to do it, but that's what I would do. What do you got?
I think that's the best way, because the video package, the 3-part thing they had this past Tuesday was nicely put together. I really enjoyed it. That got me so hyped up. It's been a while since I've been really hyped up for a match like that. So thank you to the creative team, producer teams who put that together. So, but as you said, I think they want to ride this for as long as they can. And of course, on the biggest stage, you want to settle things, WrestleMania. So how do you get that? I mean, you can't let Daniel Bryan win now, because then it kind of slows down or deflates the whole rivalry. I think, Miz goes over now, and it could be a long-term build up to WrestleMania.
My fear, though, is that they're just going to have Daniel Bryan win, and that's the end of it. Not that I'm against it. I love Daniel Bryan. I think he should be the top babyface in the company, him and Braun Strowman. But I could see them ending the feud right here, though.
No, that would be ridiculous.
I mean, it's SummerSlam. It's a huge stage, you know. Daniel Bryan gets his big moment, you know. He gets revenge for the Talking Smack promo and everything like that. So,
but just kill it right then and there?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
they could do it. Miz has a lot of other things going on, too. He's a new father. Maybe he wants to take time off.
But I think, so not to telegraph my future pick here, but I think the best guy to dethrone AJ Styles is The Miz, because what else can The Miz do at the quote mid-card level? He's been a multiple Intercontinental champion. So, and plus, IC belt we know is on Raw. But like, what else can he do at the mid-card level? He's been killing it for the last couple years.
Yeah.
He is due for a main event push again.
Agreed.
So I think getting a win over Daniel Bryan is the perfect way to launch him into that scenario. Separate the two of them for a while, come back to that at WrestleMania. But in the meantime, I think The Miz's next feud will be with AJ Styles. At some point in the coming months, he gets the belt from AJ Styles, and then you go back into the well, and him and Daniel Bryan.
I hope.
So early 2019 can be, the Royal Rumble, and then just the build from that.
And I think in the meantime, again, not to telegraph our picks, but I think you could put Daniel Bryan with Samoa Joe.
Exactly.
And they could have a kick-ass feud in the interim, and sort of just flip-flop who they're feuding with. Intercontinental Championship, Dolph Ziggler with Drew McIntyre in his corner, and Seth Rollins with the returning Lunatic Fringe, Dean Ambrose, looking very swole.
I wonder what Renee feeds him at home.
Slightly revamped look.
What do you think? Do you like the look?
I like the look. My question, though, in this match is Dean turning heel on Sunday?
Okay, where did this come from? Like, everyone's been saying, like, for the last couple of months, they're like, oh, Dean's been out for a while, and he's due to come back any month now. And everyone's like, oh, he's probably going to turn heel too. Where did this whole rumor or speculation that he's going to turn heel started?
I think because it's to sort of reinvent and refresh the character a little bit, and
to do so, you got to go heel?
I don't think you have to go heel, but it's a way of going about it, and it's a way of keeping the Intercontinental Championship on Dolph Ziggler, and then setting up it's a good way of parting Seth from his feud with Dolph without putting the title back on him.
Okay.
But I mean, maybe you want Seth and Dean to go back into the tag team title conversation. You have them feud with the Revival. So I'm not sure if he goes heel or not.
Or if Dean,
I wouldn't be surprised though.
If Dean goes heel, turns on Seth, and then that's their program. They're going to go at it for the next couple months. And, and so that keeps Seth occupied, and then Dolph can go off and fight someone else for the IC belt.
Exactly, and he can defend it against people.
I mean, so I believe that as well, because I think they need more quality heels on Raw. As far as especially the upper mid card level right now, because we know Brock is the top heel, right, or the way they've been building him on Raw. So I think, especially now we don't know what Brock's future is. So I think it makes sense for maybe Dean to go heel and just kind of revitalize the heel department for the Raw division. So
he could feud with Seth. He could then feud with Roman.
Yeah. So, okay, that makes sense as far as
and mentally, while I've been out, you just been burning it down. Monday Night Rollins.
I got you there.
Never thought about me. You turned on us before. There's unfinished business there. So I definitely would not be surprised with that.
So I think Dolph is retaining in some capacity. It's not going to be some crazy business is going to get involved. So I think Dean might be turning heel just because of. It's the only way, I think, for Dolph to keep the belt on him.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Next match for the Money in the Bank contract, Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens. If Braun loses in any capacity, he loses the contract. I love Braun Strowman. He's my favorite guy on Monday Night Raw. It's been cute. Kevin Owens has got some cute wins. Jinder Mahal has gotten some cute wins over Braun. I don't like Braun losing. I don't like him losing here. I think he holds on to the Money in the Bank contract. They made a shirt called Monster in the Bank. I think Braun wins this going away and a nice little end to his feud with Kevin Owens.
I was kind of thinking Kevin Owens might win this because, I didn't want Braun to win the Money in the Bank because, he's a monster already. He doesn't need the briefcase. But I guess since he was in the ladder match for Money in the Bank briefcase, it only made sense for him to win because he's the most dominating figure in that match. So he had to win. But now that he's won, it's like, well, he could win this on his own anyway without the briefcase if they would actually give him a title push. But I think it would be interesting. That has never happened before. Has anyone lost a briefcase?
I'm trying to remember.
Like a stipulation where they lost it before. Not saying you cash it in and you lose your title shot. That we know that's happened 3 times.
Didn't Kennedy lose it to Edge?
John Cena and
Kennedy lost his briefcase to Edge, didn't he?
I'm trying to remember now.
I don't remember, but we'll have to check the tapes on that one.
I think it could be interesting. It could kind of help Kevin Owens right now. It gives him something fresh to work with as far as having the briefcase. He'd be like, ha, I got it. I mean, the dude's been like busting his ass the last few pay-per-views, taking big bumps.
Braun.
I mean, but the guy was in a porta potty.
Braun's one of the most over guys in the company.
Yeah,
and he's a giant. He shouldn't lose to Kevin Owens.
Okay, my original thought was Braun winning because I think what he could do later. So I think Braun is going to go over still just because I think what's going to be needed at the end of the pay-per-view, which we'll talk on in a second.
Yeah, so now we're going to get to the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Bludgeon Brothers versus The New Day. Listen, I will never disrespect any professional wrestler. I think I respect what they do and everything like that. I'm not a fan of the Bludgeon Brothers gimmick. I have not been a fan of their title reign. I'm not into it. It's not hitting with me. So I don't know if it's a smart booking call or not, what they're going to do. I'm taking the New Day.
Me too.
Because it's what I wanted to happen.
Well, the Bludgeon Brothers, it's been kind of just a little bit boring as far as they've just been doing squash matches.
Yeah.
Or even this past SmackDown Live, it was taking on 3 guys, but the match never started. They just kind of jumped them and beat the crap out of them, and it was over with without the bell ringing. So, it's not all their fault. It's how they've been booked, but I just think for the Bludgeon Brothers, it's like, okay, it's a nice moment. Someone else different win the belts, but I think the New Day wins and then maybe start something with the Bar.
Yeah,
afterwards.
I think so. I think that would make total sense. Okay, how this match is on 2 straight pay-per-views is beyond me, but here we are again. Finn Balor versus Constable Baron Corbin.
I thought this could have been pre-show.
I thought it would be. It still could be. I think that stuff's always up in the air. They can make last-second changes. I don't know. I got Finn Balor here.
Yeah, it's so easy. It's Finn. I mean, poor Baron Corbin. Like, he's been this authority figure on Raw, but I mean, everyone just still kind of bosses him around or does what he wants. He's not been like the amazing authority figure that I think he's been supposed to be built up as.
Another one I'm really looking forward to, Raw Women's Championship, Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey. Is this when Ronda finally gets her hand on some gold in WWE?
At first, I was like, I don't want to see her win this so soon since she debuted because I always worry about someone getting that big rocket push. But then I was like, okay, she's been, on Raw for the last 4+ months now. I mean, didn't she officially sign back in or she made an appearance at the Royal Rumble? That's right. So she's been with the WWE for a while now. So I think it's time for her to win. I think the way they've just been building her up, and I think she can win now, and it could lead to just a lot of fun things. I'm just curious. Like, where's been Nia Jax been? She's been written off TV for a while.
Yeah.
So I wonder, is there a way she can maybe get involved somehow?
She should be a heel, too. Nia should be a heel.
Yes.
I get what you're saying, too. I mean, Ronda is like the biggest box office draw for WWE right now.
It makes sense. Put the belt on her.
It does. It makes total sense.
It's her time. And plus, it kind of gives more credence to SummerSlam as a big show, big moments happening. She had her time to shine with her debut on WrestleMania. Now this is the next big moment in her wrestling career, SummerSlam. And it could be a great highlight for years to come what SummerSlam means.
Yeah, totally. WWE Championship, AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. I think the build to this match has been terrific as well. I was going to say phenomenal, but I didn't want to, didn't want anybody to get the wrong idea.
They don't want none.
They don't want none. I think this is a tough match to predict, but I'm going with AJ Styles because I think it's the right call to make. Like we were talking about earlier, that it should be The Miz to dethrone AJ for all those reasons we laid out. So yeah, I'm going with AJ in a very competitive match to beat Samoa Joe here, which is tough because Samoa Joe's like lost all of his big matches pretty much from pay-per-view, for WWE.
It's been a tough year for him between the injuries and losing the matches. Because was it a year ago he was in that 5-man?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing, I mean, just think about it. Who would have thought 10 years ago that these two top TNA guys would be fighting for the belt, WWE Championship at SummerSlam. So kudos to them for just everything they've accomplished. But yeah, I'm going to go with AJ Styles. I mean, I would love to see Samoa Joe be champion eventually. But yeah, AJ Styles, because I think him and Miz can have a great entertaining program. And then Daniel Bryan and Samoa Joe can do stuff for the next coming months.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and finally.
Oh, real quick. Got to say congrats to AJ Styles.
Yeah, the longest reigning SmackDown champion ever.
Yeah, so
WWE champion in SmackDown history, rather.
Yes.
All right, finally, the Universal Championship match. Brock Lesnar taking on the big dog, Roman Reigns. I'm going to say what I want.
Okay.
And I want Brock Lesnar to win this match. I do not want Roman Reigns to win this match. I don't and the build to this match has been very good. Mm-hmm. Doesn't change the fact that I didn't have any interest in seeing it. Again, I think they made the wrong call by having it not be Lashley here, and I think that would still be soon for Lashley to get the shot. But it made sense when you have Lashley go over at the pay-per-view, and then you have him just lose his shot on Raw.
Okay, yeah.
And I get the whole uncrowned champion thing. I don't think that whole conspiracy theory act did Roman any favors. Brock Lesnar is the guy they ended the streak. They've built up this guy, and the logical call was for Roman to slay that beast at WrestleMania. Why? And then fine, he'll take it at the Greatest Royal Rumble, and he still didn't do it there. At this point, to me, it's not going to be satisfying if he just does it now. To me, I think it makes more sense that Brock just has Roman's number, and that's okay. Brock has a lot of guys' numbers. So if you want somebody to be a beast slayer, you have it be Braun Strowman, either via cash in SummerSlam, or he says when he's going to cash in and has him beat Braun, as he beats Brock just straight up in a one-on-one match. And the other thing is, as a fan of WWE, I got no problems with Brock Lesnar taking a WWE championship into the octagon with him on UFC television. I think that is awesome. I think that is great marketing, which is why I'm not so sure that Roman wins here. Conventional booking says yes, Roman wins because Brock's leaving for a while. I don't know. We all thought he was going to win at WrestleMania, too.
Okay, I'm thinking... Yeah, I'm with you. I think it'd be really entertaining that he would come out as next UFC match, first one back, and he has the belt with the Universal title, and just to stick it to Joe Rogan, I would love to hear Joe Rogan's commentary with the belt. I would love to hear what he have to say on a professional level, like he's doing his job, because we know Joe Rogan's crapped on wrestling for a while now.
Brock Lesnar in UFC is good for WWE.
Yes.
Brock Lesnar with a WWE championship around his waist going to UFC. That's a hell of a visual, especially if he wins.
It gets the UFC belt.
So,
oh my God! But you think Vince is okay with that?
Yes, I think that they are more simpatico than ever, UFC and WWE.
So apparently, the rumor is that they're all meeting before SummerSlam. Brock is meeting with all the upper
and apparently
people.
he wants to stick around. So,
But then, so he stays champion, and then like the belt is still going to be just hardly seen on TV. And
I mean, they've done a good job of promoting the Intercontinental Champion, just sort of that, sort of like the interim status. I mean, that's the toughest part about the sell is how long it's going to be until Brock's in that octagon.
When is that?
I'm not
2019.
I'm not even sure. So that's the other thing. So I mean, it may very well be that Brock beats Roman and Braun cashes in and then wins. I'm fine with that. Braun should be the Beast Slayer, no matter how you slice it. If we don't get Brock taking the title into the octagon, fine. But it should be Braun taking the title off.
Okay, are you okay with the idea? So what happens with Roman? Let's say he wins. Braun comes, Brock. Actually, it doesn't really matter because Braun ultimately is going to come in and cash in.
He can cash in and make it a triple threat match at the start of the match, and then you really put over Braun because he just beaten Kevin Owens, so you have to do double duty.
Well, I'm just saying. So let's say Braun. You're saying Braun walks out with the title at the end of the night, no matter what.
That's what that is one scenario that I find very appealing.
So what happens with Roman next? What is next? He
should turn heel.
He's back in the same situation as far as he didn't accomplish his job. He's going to be the underdog trying to go for the title again. So I think it's just going to be repetitive storytelling as far as Roman trying to go for the belt.
And finally gets super frustrated, and he finally goes heel.
Let me ask you, is Brock scheduled for the Raw after SummerSlam?
I am not sure.
Because I could see them doing, probably the outcome that we at least expect. And then maybe Brock drops it on a Raw.
Maybe Braun cashes in on Raw.
Or catches on Raw.
Yeah.
Like maybe
I'm fine with that too, because keep Raw unpredictable.
Yeah, Brock could be celebrating in the ring, and then Braun comes out, cashes in right then and there. So it's kind of very unpredictable because everyone's predicting that Braun's going to cash at SummerSlam. No one's ever thinking about him doing it at Raw.
Braun Strowman was the MVP of last year's SummerSlam, throwing the desk chairs. I can't believe it's been a whole year since that happened.
Yeah.
But that's when we, the weeks prior to that, fell in love with the fact that those commentary chairs could, in fact, be used as a weapon. And so something I had never seen before, really. But yeah, Braun Strowman needs to be the guy to dethrone Brock, in my estimation. I think it's a better story if Brock just has Roman's number. I just think that makes more sense at this point. So I don't want to see Roman go over. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, conventional booking wisdom is that Roman's going to win. But hell with that.
I mean, the thing sounds like the safe bet is Roman.
Yeah, well, circle on your sheet, whatever you want to do, buddy.
I don't know. Maybe I'll leave this one blank right now.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
I'll come back.
All right. I want to end tonight with, we have as we're debuting here in the Kliq, Bimbo Jimbo, Baby Huey here with you. We want to do a segment where we have like a From the Vault where you can pop on your WWE network and everything like that. Go back and watch a classic match. So the theme for this episode is SummerSlam, given that we've been talking about this year's edition. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Homer pick of saying, do yourself a favor. Go back and rewatch maybe my favorite SummerSlam match of all time, 2002, the returning Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. Classic match.
Street fight?
This unsanctioned street fight, yeah.
He comes out with the jeans.
He's got the jeans, the Philippians 413 tank top on, and it was, for a Shawn Michaels mark, I thought that might be the last, I never thought I'd see Shawn back in the ring. Mm-hmm. Never thought I'd see him back doing his thing again like he did that night. Like, he exceeded all expectations. He was as good as he ever was. Didn't know if we'd, at that point, that he was going to have the incredible second act of his career. Mm-hmm. That night, I was fine if Shawn Michaels never wrestled another match in his life. That was amazing.
But he went on for what, another 7 years?
Another 8 years,
yeah. Wow. So, okay, no, that's definitely, that definitely helped. Is it safe to say SummerSlam 2002 is probably the best SummerSlam?
It's one of the most well-regarded SummerSlams of all time.
Okay, so for me, just kind of going off current events, what's been going on, I think, with the unfortunate passing of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, I recommend you guys go out, watch SummerSlam 1990, Hart Foundation versus Demolition. Great tag team match.
Oh.
Yes, I think just a great time to see the Hart Foundation, what they really represented at the time, and just them working together, and they had a great rivalry with Demolition. So, and plus, that's the old school era that we originally grew up on as little kids. So that's, I think, a great throwback for you guys to watch.
Successful first episode. Been a lot of fun with you, Baby Huey.
We did it.
We want to get you, the listeners, involved as well. So we have set up a fancy pants Gmail account. It's inthekliq@gmail.com. If you want to opine, have any questions, anything you want us to talk about, feel free to hit us up. inthekliq@gmail.com.
Can I have the password? Can I check it?
You can check it right now.
Put it on my phone?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So we'll be getting that going for you. We're going to be doing this every week, bringing you wrestling content.
And that's the other thing is I think you and I were working on a lot of great features as well. I think
we have some
media.
things we're gonna reveal down the line. We have a lot of cool stuff planned for you. But that is going to do it for our inaugural edition. And remember, if you're not in the Kliq, see ya. And I wouldn't want to be ya.